Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So it's Monday, happy new week. I hope everyone's having a nice time. I don't know what I'm saying. I hope you're having a nice time. I do. So it's Monday, Ghost Story Day. If this is your first time joining me here in one of these videos, Mondays is a day where I kind of dedicate a little bit of a more of a light-hearted, light-hearted kind of video. I tell your ghost stories. You can send your submissions, any ghost stories, weird stories. Doesn't have to be supernatural, it could be a little bit creepy. Send them right here and I will tell them. And every Monday I kind of create a look based around a ghost, a kind of ghost. And just before getting to today's theme, I just want to talk about last week. I did a theme where I was, what was it? I was in a coma and then I woke up, but when I was in a coma, an apocalypse happened. And the look was inspired by, you know, when there's an apocalypse and everybody suddenly has the same haircut and they wear crappy clothes and they live like in dumps and things like that. And I lived in like a car dump, you know, when they like crash cars and stuff. And I was like, King of the Wastelands. So I got this email and it was titled King of the Wastelands. I was like, oh my God, somebody has a story that links to my look last week. But it was this incredible picture of me as King of the Wastelands and the stick. I mentioned in the story the stick with, I just noticed something in the picture. The stick with a BMW on sign. And I just noticed a minion. I can't say it in the back because I say in the video my minions. But it's so cute. It's literally like a post-apocalyptic, exactly what I had in mind. It's perfect. So thank you so much for sending me that picture. That's so cool. So I thought, let's do kind of like orange and like burn oranges and things like that, but I want to do like orange blush. I want to do like an orange lip. So I'm thinking a sunbed situation, death on a sunbed, kind of Final Destination kind of like. So I went on one too many sunbeds. My skin has oranged, it's got a nice orange tone to it, and then I got trapped in the sunbed, you know, in the film Final Destination when they die in a sunbed. That. Everything I use will be in the description box below. I never really talk about the products as I go. I try not to, just because I feel like it interferes with the stories. So everything I use will be in the description box below. Affiliate links will be clearly marked. And I do just want to say as well, I'm using some Makeup Geek lashes today. And I'm very, very happy that I have just become an affiliate with Makeup Geek because I absolutely love a brand. And I know you guys do too, so I have a discount code with them. It's Robert WLSH. I believe. I'll put it on the screen and I'll put it below and the link as well. Yeah, I love their brand so much, so what an honour to be affiliated with them. Okay, so our first story today is called House by the Burial Ground. Guys, sorry to interrupt the video just here, but I'm sitting here editing this video. How much did that not look like my arm coming into the screen? It just really scared me because it looks like someone else's arm popping up in the side of the screen. I just had to put it in there. I can't stop laughing at it. Let me know if you thought the same, but that looked like someone else's arm. That was terrifying. I grew up in Southern Virginia in the woods/forest with about 3 neighbours in a very rural area. There's a Native American burial ground right behind my house in the forest. When I was younger, about 7, my mum would always catch me talking to someone or something by myself, but nothing was ever there. She always assumed it was an imaginary friend, like most kids have. However, this friend was far from imaginary. I remember playing with a Native American woman who had long black hair and a scar across her face. I could see her so clearly, but my mum never believed me. One time, my mum saw what she thought was a Native American woman running from a dark figure wearing boots in the backyard. From that point on, we would hear the clank of cowboy boot spurs walking through the house. My mum had asked me what happened to my friend, and I told her the mean man in boots told her to go away. My mum still lives in that house, and she still hears a clanking to this day. I feel like whenever a child, or you know, a kid, they're the same thing, fine, has an imaginary friend, I'm just going to straight up assume it's a ghost. Like, why would it not be? What else could it be? It always makes me wonder, I wonder if like ghosts and spirits just relive potentially really terrible moments in their past. You know what I mean? Like, was that guy like trying to hunt her down and kill her, or what was happening? Well, thank you so much for that story. I hope your friend's okay. So the next story is called The Handprint. So it says, I want to start out by saying I recently discovered your channel and have shared it with all my friends. Thank you so much. We all love makeup and anything horror/supernatural. Your channel is literally perfect for us. Thank you. I love that. This story takes place at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. It's considered one of the most haunted places in the world. A few friends and I went on a scheduled tour of the old hospital. We came to what the tour guide referred to as the Hall of Shadows, which is located in the old children's ward. I swear, ghost children are the creepiest. Yes, they are. The tour guide asked if anyone would volunteer to walk down the hall alone as a demonstration of the shadows. My friends pressured me to do it. So I started going down the hall and I was asked to walk like I was doing a sobriety test. I'm guessing one foot in front of the other. I made it to the end of the hall in about 30 seconds, and the tour guide told me to turn around and walk back the same way. I remember hearing chattering, like I was in a busy restaurant, but couldn't make anything out. Throughout the walk back, the guide told me to stop a few times, each time in front of a doorway on either side of me. One of the times, she asked me to stop. I felt like a child hugged my waist. When I got back to the group, my friends told me they could see shadows rushing across me the whole way back, and at times it looked like I was expanding and contracting. The rest of the tour, I felt extremely lightheaded, like I could pass out at any moment. Once the tour was over, we went outside and were walking back to the car. I looked down and noticed that I was almost completely covered in dust. And on my thigh, there was this tiny handprint. I immediately stopped everyone and asked them if they could see it. We tried to match it to my hands and it was way too small. I had no idea why I was covered in dust. I was never on the ground, nor did I walk through any dirt piles. To this day, I can still feel what it felt like when I had that little hug around my waist. I mean, you know, is it cute? Are ghost children hugging your waist cute? Is that cute? I don't know. It feels kind of cute, but at the same time, it feels really threatening. Like, I want to think it's cute. That's really what you want from a ghost tour, isn't it? To get that full-on experience, not just be a little bit creeped out, but to get, like, a sighting or a feeling, a few scratches on the back, whatever you want, you know. Thank you so much for that story. That is creepy. And I definitely would not volunteer I would not volunteer to go down that hall. I don't know. What if you stop at a doorway and see something? Like, you know, that's one of the scariest things that can happen. Seeing things in a doorway or out the window or in a closet. I guess just seeing things in general. Okay, so excuse me. Our next story is called Handsome Ghost in the Kitchen. Okay. About 3 years ago, I began to have this reoccurring dream. I'll be standing in a kitchen doorway, and in my kitchen, I would see this handsome man leaning up against my stove. He would smile at me. However, when I began to have these dreams every night, I had a gut feeling that something was wrong. One night, in my dream, I began to walk closer to this man. As I kept getting close to him, his appearance began to fall apart. He was no longer handsome. His face began to look distorted, and his clothes were dirty and disheveled. I specifically remember his sharp teeth. During this time, my boyfriend told me about how I would sleepwalk into the kitchen. I would take everything out of the cupboards and begin to stack them on my kitchen counters that were located on each side of my stove, from smallest to biggest. Needless to say, after 2 weeks of the same dream, I was exhausted and very afraid to fall asleep. One night I went to a good friend's wedding rehearsal dinner. It was in a wonderful ranch house in the middle of nowhere. I was sitting around a campfire. That is when the groom's mum came up to me and asked to speak to me. She said, "There is a man that is following you." I said, "Excuse me?" She replied, "You dream of him." My heart just dropped. I let out a huge gasp. She told me she'd been seeing him all night. She also said that she was very intuitive and she can see him in the shadows. I began to cry and I told her what had been going on. She said that my aura was bright like a golden sun and I was breaking down. She said I should stop because she could see him smiling. She continued to say that negative spirits are like magnets to bright auras. Then she told me to burn certain coloured candles in my home. Also that I should do a cleanse and demand the spirit to leave my home. I did, and I have not had dreams of him since. Just thinking about it makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, that would make me pretty sick also. I feel like having this kind of experience on your own, like, you know, your dreams, and at the same time thinking, you know, am I going crazy because I'm having these dreams and it's affecting my life? To have someone like confirm that actually there is something that is purposely trying to ruin your life, you know, following you around, that must be a relief. But at the same time, really, really scary, you know? Thank you so much for that story, and I'm glad that it hasn't happened to you recently. I think there's only so much of that kind of situation you can handle, you know? Okay, so our next story has no title. Very mysterious. My story starts when I moved to the state of Texas when I was young. We moved to an old house that was about a good 100 years old when I was about 12. It was a Saturday afternoon, a bit after 6 p.m, and I had just got home from soccer practice. My brother was off to work and I was left alone in the house. Now, like any teen, I was excited and giddy about being home alone. I invited some friends over and we all agreed to play the Ouija board. I mean, I'm not saying you bought this on yourself, but... Now, I didn't have any dead relatives that I was close with, so we just messed around and asked some stupid questions until one of my friends decided to contact her dead mum. When she asked her, "Are you in a better place?" we heard a loud clap come from the hall that connects my room and my brother's room. Instantly, I got up and went to check it out because I've seen way too many horror movies, yes. There was nothing there. Once I walked back to my friends, we asked if that was her, and we hear 2 knocks on the door in the hallway restroom, which was open. We took that as a yes, and then my friend asked for her mum to say something. That's when the lights of the living room went off, and I felt the sudden pressure on my chest and started to shake. I've never felt fear the way I did at that moment. We heard a very soft but almost maniac voice say, "There's red on the floor." The hallway door slammed and the living room lights exploded. My friend screamed because she had been scratched on her arm. I began to recite the Lord's Prayer and eventually everyone left, leaving me alone with whatever we had summoned in my house. Let's just say I stayed up all night praying with a crucifix in my hand, never ever playing with a Ouija board again. Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't anyway. Listen, I'm not a religious person at all. Not saying that, you know, I think people shouldn't be religious. I think it's great for some people. If I did a Ouija board and all that happened, I would also be in my room praying all night with a crucifix or any other religious symbol from any religion. That's scary. That's really, really scary. And here's the thing, Ouija boards, you think you're getting in touch with someone you know, you think it's a loved one. Could be anyone. Thank you so much for your story and sharing your experience. I love that. Thank you very much. So our next story is called I Saw a UFO. Yes, I love a good UFO story. I'm just going to go in with this really cute palette. It has a little bit of a contour here, but I'm going for this orange blush. So it says, "Hello Robert, first of all, I want to thank you for your content." Thank you. It's not only entertaining, but you bring so much joy to me and lots of other people too. Thank you so much. This happened when I was around 5 or 6 in my home country of Venezuela. Since I was so young, over the years, the memory has become more and more obscure, but I'm 100% sure about the accuracy of this encounter for reasons I will unveil later. My grandfather at the time owned a plot of land in a rural part of Venezuela, and we often drove off to it to spend weeks feeding his cattle and spending some quality family time together. To paint the picture, a plot of land consisted of a small hill full of trees and only a dirt road driving through it. At the top of said hill, my grandfather built a shed-like structure. The structure had wooden pillars, a paved floor, and a wooden floor with no walls. There was only one small room enclosed in the walls, and that was mainly used for storage. Therefore, we mostly slept in hammocks or tents with complete exposure to the outdoors. Perks of the beautiful Venezuelan weather. On one of our visits, I recall building a tent with my grandmother and preparing to go to bed as it was already starting to become nighttime. I do not remember much else, but I remember going inside the tent and calling for my grandmother, asking a trivial question. "Grandma," I asked, after not hearing any response. Then I proceed to exit the tent when I notice that both my grandparents, along with my aunt and her boyfriend, are standing at the edge of the shed, looking into the sky, speechless. "Grandma, what's wrong?" I ask as I childishly run up to my grandmother. And it was then, when I looked up into the sky, I saw a lineup of colourful lights. It was around 5 or 6 lights in the sky, each one a different colour. My family and I just watched silently for what felt like hours, but was more realistically perhaps only a minute or two. No one said a word. It was as if we were hypnotised by the lights, unable to even speak. We then watched the lights all get together and fly away into the night. And this is where the certain memory ends. Fast forward to a couple of years, I was about 9 or 10, and my aunt had moved to the United States. So most of our communication was through MSN Messenger. If you know, you know, I remember. One day, I randomly thought about that incident of the lights and asked her if she remembered it. She said yes. She even recounted some key elements to the story without me even prompting her. That leads me to believe, to this day, that this indeed did happen. And that was not just a crazy dream or something else. I do not truly have an explanation to what my family and I saw. And to be honest, the memory has haunted me for many years now. As nearly 15 years later, I still think about it. I still try to make sense of it. Like, was it a plane or something else? This happened in a very rural part of the country, so there was not anything nearby that could have made this simple light pollution. To this day, the mystery continues. Thank you for reading this. It is a story that I do not tell many people, and it was kind of cathartic, I don't know what that means, to write this all down. Sorry if it was kind of long. Thank you again, Robert, for all that you do. Below I have attached a picture of my grandfather and I when I was young in the same plot of land where this occurred. Cute. Oh, that's such a nice picture. Here, guys, listen, never apologise if it's too long, because trust me, it doesn't take as long to read out as it does to type. There's something about aliens, UFOs, things like that, that is almost scarier than ghosts, I think. Because I feel like with ghosts, we can be like, oh yeah, that could have been my grandmother. That could have been something with, you know, that ghost was angry. That ghost wanted to slam all my doors and hated me because it was an old woman that used to live in his house. Whereas with aliens or UFOs, or whatever you want to call them, it's a little bit like, what are they? Who are they? Do they hate me? Do they want to kill us all? You know, it's a strange one because it's almost more unexplained. I almost find like cryptozoology and things like that a lot more scarier than the paranormal, like ghosts and what have you. Okay, so our next story is called My Brother Ricky. It says, "Hi Robert, how are you? I hope you're keeping safe." Thank you. I hope you're keeping safe too. I'm a huge fan and I watch all your videos. Thank you so much. I was watching one of your ghost stories when my husband walked in and encouraged me to send mine. My older brother Ricky and I are only 15 months apart. Unfortunately, he was born with a gene which meant the older he got, the weaker his muscles got. For this reason, he was in a wheelchair, on a ventilator at home. He could still talk and only just move his thumbs, for the PlayStation controller of course, but we had a normal sibling rivalry, called each other names and so on. We both loved watching horror movies and made a promise that whichever one dies first has got to come back and haunt the other one. Unfortunately, my brother Ricky died in October 2010 at the young age of 22, but he lived up to his promise. From the day he died, I would hear my name being shouted, see things move, or even hear knocking that would get louder as it got closer. My first birthday without my brother was shit. Me and my sister thought, let's just take silly pictures of each other, and just to pass the time. We thought nothing of it until a few days later when we printed the photos out and our jaws dropped. Under my arm was a face. A face we know well. It was the face of my brother Ricky. You can see his face with a tash and a beard, the spitting image of my brother. I have attached a picture because I know you like to see, of course. Since I got married 7 years ago, I haven't had a visit again. I think he knows I'm not lonely anymore. I hope you liked my story. Lots of love. I did like your story, thank you. That's such a nice story. What a promise to keep. I'm gonna haunt you. I've always said if I die and come back and haunt people, they'll know because I'll be flushing the toilet at night. And that's my sign that I'm haunting them. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. There were some good stories. There was some nice stories. There was crying. There was UFOs. There were ghost children. Great. If you want to send in your story for next... Well, it won't be for next week. If you want to send in your story, I'll read it at some point. Just send it right to this email addressed here. Ghost stories, alien stories, weird stories. That's all I can think of. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. I will see you on Wednesday and Friday and Sunday, and then Monday again. And just so you guys know as well, for those of you who don't, I know a lot of you do already, and I think I mention this almost every week, I don't know, but please check out mine and my brother's podcast, The Double Cleanse. It's a beauty, makeup, skincare, all this kind of stuff podcast. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really nice time. So go ahead and check that out, and I will see you very soon. Bye.